So how do we go about auditing a subsequent event? Because I've left out this first part, which actually should be to first prove that it is a post-reporting date event. And so that's by looking at the dates. And then once you have proved it, you then need to prove adjusting versus non-adjusting. So again, now you're looking at conditions. And then once you've done that, think about what has happened as a result of this post-reporting date event. Has a transaction been affected or has an account balance been affected? Because guys, think about some of the examples I said earlier. It was for inventory valuation. They had to go and write down their stock to NRV. So then I know we're looking at inventory, we're looking at the valuation assertion, and now I'm just going to go and audit the adjustment. So there's nothing new here. I now need to go and audit what was the cost by going to an invoice. I then need to go and audit what the NRV is by going to a sales invoice. I then need to recalculate the difference to see that that's what's getting written down correctly. So it's going to be the same procedures that I would do now for valuation in just auditing this journal itself. Or maybe the post-reporting date event was an addition to PPE. And what actually happened was the condition arose before year end, but they only actually got the invoice at year end. So now you know it's a transaction. I need to go and use my class of transaction assertions. The only one I don't have to do is completeness because it's one item that I'm looking at. So then I need to go and audit. Did it occur? Authorization of the invoice, authorization of the minutes of meetings, inspecting the capital budget. I need to go and test the accuracy of the calculation that they've used to record the transaction. Go and look at the invoice amount. Recalculate VAT, see that VAT was recorded in the correct account. Agree the date to the invoice to make sure it's recorded in the correct date. And see that's presented and disclosed. So first see what we're looking at. Is it a transaction? Is it an account balance? And from that we can then go and see what assertions or assertion is applicable. And then we need to audit based on what we know for the assertions. And finally, consider disclosure. I've said here if it's a non-adjusting material or event, but even if it's not a non-adjusting, if it is an adjusting, there would still have to be presentation and disclosure that you would do as part of your assertions. So go and check that. So ultimately what I'm saying to you guys here is there's no standard way to audit a subsequent event because all a subsequent event is a journal recording either an impact on a balance or a transaction. So you need to go and see what the journal is, the date that it was recorded, the description, and the amount, and you need to use your assertions to test all of those to see it's correct. Easy as that. So the third one, discussing the effects of the subsequent event on the audit report. So first of all, I've split it again into the periods. Period 1, period 2, period 3. So these are all based on that subsequent event timeline. So there is a subsequent event. What do I first need to do? First prove that there is this post-reporting date event. Once again, I'm doing that for all of these. And so how do I do that? I need to look at the year-end date and look at the event date and show that the event date is after the year end. Then I need to prove is it adjusting or non-adjusting. Again, I'm now going to look at the conditions. I don't do that immediately for if it's identified in period 2 or period 3. Before I go and look at that, I go and discuss it with management if I pick it up in 2 or 3. Because remember, I'm not identifying in period 2 or 3. It is coming to my attention. Whereas in period 1, I could have identified it myself. So it comes to my attention, I then go and discuss it with management. Then once I'm aware of this and I've had the discussion with management, we go and prove, is it adjusting or non-adjusting? Same situation. Again, we're just looking at the conditions and when they arose. And then once I've done that, if it's adjusting, I must request management to adjust. If they adjust, then I need to go and audit the adjustment per step 2. And that's the same for all of these. If it's adjusting, request them to adjust. If they say yes and they adjust, I need to go and audit it. And once again, exactly how I did for question number 2. Once I've audited, I then need to see if it is correct. So correctly recorded, or if it's incorrectly. If it's correctly recorded, I'm going to give an unqualified opinion. Specific to this event. And again, as I said to you, we're going to do the types of opinions next week. So just for now, just have it here so that you can, when we've done, refer back to it to know. But if it's incorrectly recorded, then I've got a misstatement, and I need to see is the misstatement material. And based on that, I will adjust my audit opinion. Because this could be just a small misstatement, but if it is a material misstatement, then I'm going to have to adjust the opinion. But if we request them to adjust and they say no, then we've got a misstatement. And that's for all of these. And once again, I'm going to have to adjust my opinion for the misstatement, if it is material. Okay, so if it's adjusting and they do adjust, we'll audit that, and if we're happy, we'll give an unqualified. If they adjust but they do it incorrectly, so that was risk number 2, I need to see is there a material misstatement and adjust my opinion accordingly. If it is adjusting and they don't adjust, then there's a misstatement. I'm going to have to adjust my audit opinion accordingly. Okay, and guys, the different adjustments of misstatements is based on the severity of this misstatement, and so that's why I'm not going into all the different types now, just so you know we will adjust. Then, that's all I do for when I find or report according to period 1. But in period 2, I've got something else to do now, which is to extend the identification procedures to my new audit report date, because now period 1 moves to my new audit report date. And therefore, I have to go and identify if there were other events post-reporting date that I need to now consider in looking at the financials. Same thing if it happened in period 3. Because of my new audit report, I have to go and extend the identification procedures because period 1 moves to the new audit report date. But the biggest problem here was that I had given my audit report, and that audit report had gone to the users. So because the users had been aware of an audit report, in my new audit report, I need to give an emphasis of matter paragraph, which needs to say, ignore the previous audit report. I don't have to do that for period 2, guys, because only management or the clients had my audit reports. It didn't go out to the users. So I don't have to go and make an additional statement so that the users can see, please don't look at the previous audit reports, only look at this one. But because in period 3 they would have, I need to adjust my new report to say, please don't look at the previous report, and we need to review the steps that management have taken to tell anyone that they must not use the previously issued financial report because the users received the previous report because it was issued to the users. Again, doesn't happen in period 2 because it wasn't issued to the users. Okay, in terms of the opinions, when there's misstatements, we'll get to those next week, just so you can see that if there is a misstatement, we will have to adjust our opinion. And that's because they didn't adjust the post-reporting date event correctly, or they refused to adjust the post-reporting date event. So let's go have a look at the standard ISA 560.